Hello guys, welcome back. If you are new to my channel, then welcome. Please do hit the subscribe button because every time I launch a video you will get a notification and therefore you won't miss it. But today's video is inspired by a recent TEDx talk that I gave in Oldham back in July of 2019, and wow, what an event. That is a whole other video in itself. But what I thought I'd do is I'd share some of my tips and ways in which I approach a speech, whether that's at TEDx level or whether that's within my local business community or schools that I often speak at. Just a process that I use in order to help deliver the best of me to my audience and also help to elevate my brand. So these are 10 steps that will make you a better public speaker and help boost your brand awareness. Now, this is ideal for you if you are a beginner when it comes to public speaking. You've dabbled in it but aren't quite sure, perhaps don't have the total confidence to be able to continue doing that. Or maybe you've recently joined a business network and you've got the opportunity to talk about yourself, your business, share your expertise and your knowledge, because often lots of business networks give you that platform. So this 10-step process will help you in any of those situations. So let's get down to it. My first step, my first tip that I always go to is who is it that I'm speaking with to, and how long have I got? So who's my audience? Because my audience typically varies. So it could be someone, it could be a group of students at a secondary school or a college, right through to a business network setting, or perhaps a wider business community event or a TEDx, as I mentioned, TEDx speech. Those different audiences will have different requirements, knowledge bases, topics that they are expecting me to engage them with. So therefore I need to be able to flex my expertise according to that audience. The audience for a secondary school setting is going to differ to that within a business community setting. So I need to make sure that I'm pitching my knowledge, my expertise, what I'm sharing with them is going to connect with them, in the best possible way. So who is it that I'm doing this speech for, and how long have I got? How long do you need me to talk for? Is it 5-minute slot, half an hour slot? Does that include Q&A? Does it not? Those are all the things that I like to find out well ahead of the actual speech itself. Second up is, what is my theme? So what is it that I am going to be talking about? That's what I need to ask myself. And what is the single takeaway that I want my audience, whoever they are, what's the single takeaway I want them to take from my speech? Now, knowing that really helps to keep me on track. Now, trust me, when I say that I've sometimes started with a theme and I've forgotten, and trust me, this has happened, I've forgotten to keep that front of mind, and I've gone on and I've crafted a speech and I get to the end of it and I just think, how on earth, why? This makes no sense. Why? Because I didn't have that theme that I thought of, that single takeaway message I'd lost along the way. I hadn't got it front of mind. So now what I do is I write it in big letters on a piece of paper and I slap it in front of me on my office desk. So when I'm actually crafting this speech, I've got that front of mind. Go back to that. What is it that I want my audience to take away from my speech? My third step is about the planning process. So you will know what the date is of that given day that you're starting to write your speech, and you'll know the actual delivery date. So when it is that you are actually giving that speech. Now that time in between, you need to segment. And I segment it into 3 ways. First of all, I look at the planning stage. So how long have I got in order to, or how long do I want to assign to my planning of the actual, the planning and the preparation of the speech itself. So for instance, the TEDx talk I had 3 weeks, so I assigned just under a week, in order to prep that speech and start drafting it as such. Then it's a case of, well, how long have I got in order to start practicing that? And that's really key, and I'm going to come on to talk about that in a second, but you need time to practice your speech. And then the final element is the fine tuning. So that's great that you've got the draft, you've iterated it, you've practiced it, you've tweaked it. Now it's the fine tuning stage. So that's the stage where you go, well, where do I need to have those pauses? Which statement do I really want to emphasize? And just sort of the whole delivery of it. That's really the kind of the cherry on the cake, is that fine tuning part. And you don't want to rush that part. Or leave it to just like the night before, because that's just not going to work, and it'll completely undo all the wonderful hard work you've done beforehand. So, third tip is planning. You know the date now, you know the date that you need to actually deliver the speech on. Break up that time in between, whether it's 3 weeks or whether it's a week, whatever that might be, plan that time effectively. It'll really, really help you. Which moves me on to my fourth tip, which is about jotting down ideas. So don't think about writing the speech from the kickoff when you do it. Just jot down ideas in no particular order, get them out, whether that's statements, whether that's quotes you've been inspired by. Just pour it out onto a piece of paper or onto your laptop and just start getting ideas out, because there's nothing worse than looking at a blank piece of paper or a blank screen and just thinking, what am I going to talk about? Remember your theme, remember your takeout, and just start pouring out ideas. At this stage, it doesn't matter how long they are, what they are, you just need to get all of those ideas out. Then, my fifth point is to start researching any points that you've raised and where you potentially need some factual or research or scientific or data-based information to back up your statements. You don't necessarily need a huge amount unless you're giving a pretty heavy keynote speech. But again, this video isn't aimed for you if that's where the level that you're at. So if it's the case that you are, as I say, a small business owner and you're giving a speech at a networking event, for instance, and you're talking about new industry insights in order to kind of help educate your audience, then yes, of course, drop in 2 or 3 key research points. But make sure you've done your checking, make sure you've done your research and your prep around those, but have those in your speech, because it will really help to validate your expertise and the thought process that you have anyway. 6th point of this 10-point process is to make it personal. Storytelling, I love a good story. We remember things better when they're delivered in story format rather than fact after fact after fact. So really try and come at your speech from a personal angle. A, it's easier to remember points that you're trying to make, and B, really helps you to be able to connect and develop a rapport with your audience. And remember, at the end of the day, that's what you're trying to do within your speech. It's not just a case of getting up there and talking about something off rote or off a piece of paper. It's about connecting with your audience, because at the end of the day, you want them to take something away from what you've been talking about and what you're sharing, and hopefully go on to recommend you or work with you, or want to see you or more of your work again. So make it personal. My 7th point is to write it down. So this is the write it down bit. So this is where you've done your research, you've got your ideas, you're making it personal, you're remembering what the key takeout is that you want it to be. Start drafting your speech, and you will go through numerous drafts. So don't beat yourself up that the first one is potentially pants. That's okay. Just keep on writing it, rewriting it, I think for the TEDx thing, I went through about 9 or 10 different versions, and each time my confidence grew. I was more and more comfortable and happy with the content that I was delivering, and I could never have got to that, I think, a 9th or 10th version at the first point. I had to go through that process. So definitely just start writing it. And my 8th point is this bit drove me a little bit potty, but it was really, really good. It's to practice your speech and to read it out loud. trust me, your text, your speech is very different in your head to when you actually talk out loud. And it's at the end of the day, you're going to be talking out loud when you're doing your speech. So it's at that point when you actually start hearing yourself that you think, actually that phrase doesn't work. Oh yeah, that one does though. I'm not too sure of the flow on that. I need to change it up. You can only get to that point where you start iterating it if you actually read it out loud. Now, I ended up reading it out loud everywhere, whether it was here in my office to myself in front of the mirror, whether it was when I started to practice it off the top of my head, practice it in the car, in the shower, in the kitchen when I was doing the vacuum. I'd often ask my husband to just stop playing his computer games for a little while, take a break, listen to me instead, and I'd practice it in front of him. One of the key things I used to do was standing in, often practicing in my lounge, out in front of the big windows, out looking across the countryside and sort of addressing the hills. That's what I do. But that really, really helps. Trust me, in terms of making sure you've got the right content and that you're actually comfortable with what you're saying. It starts to help bed it into your mind. Because if you decide to do the speech, deliver the speech, from a hard copy on an iPad or on a piece of paper, what you don't want to be doing is doing this the entire time and looking down at your paper or your work. You want to be up, out there, connecting with the audience. And the only way that you'll have the confidence to step away from your notes is to be able to practice so that it becomes part of you. So definitely need to do that. Also within that, sorry, I was just going to I was just going to suggest as well that you practice your diction, that you practice your pace and delivery and pauses and stuff like that. That fine-tuning bit, which I mentioned before, that's really going to come through that practicing element. My 9th point is to just really enjoy that moment, breathe and enjoy, because it'll go by in a flash. So really try to enjoy that moment, try to connect with the audience. Remember, that's going to be really, really important. It's not just 10 steps to deliver a speech, these are 10 steps to be able to deliver a speech and help amplify your small business. And that last bit comes through connecting with your audience. So look at them, look around the audience, connect with their warmth, hopefully their warmth, and really try to connect with them really. That will come through also asking questions, getting a little bit of audience interaction with your speech as well. So that will often help. And my 10th and bonus point, just before I recap, is to seek out as many speaking opportunities as you can, whether that's you being brave and asking people, you've got this event coming up, could I speak at it? Could you give me a 5-minute slot? Could you give me a 10-minute slot? It could well be that you end up Googling for events that are happening. So Google TEDx events, there are tons of them happening all across the country. Pitch yourself, pitch yourself and really push yourself out of your comfort zone, because the more and more that you do, the more comfortable you'll feel within that environment and your confidence will grow, and all of that wonderful expertise that I know you have inside you will be able to come out, and you'll be able to share it so much more often with lots and lots of people. So a quick recap on the 10 steps to helping you speak in public and help boost your business awareness. 1, always ask, who is the audience, who am I talking to, and how long have I got? 2, what is your key theme or your key takeaway for your audience? Keep that front of mind, write on a piece of paper in front of you. Thirdly, it's about planning each stage. So what's the date now? When have you got to deliver the speech? Segmenting that time in between in order to be able to give you the best opportunity to deliver the best speech you can. 4th, start pouring out rough ideas, statements, thoughts that you want to be able to include in your speech. 5th point, research. Do your factual background checks on statements that you are making. Drop a couple of recent stats within that in order to help boost and add credibility to what you're saying. 6, make it personal. It's It's really going to help you connect with your audience. 7, just write it. Start drafting and you will go through many iterations, but that's okay. That's what you need to do. It's all a process. 8, it's about practicing. Keep practicing, talk out loud, do it any way you can at every opportunity. That's really going to help you grow your confidence with your speech. 9, it's about breathing, it's about enjoying that moment, because as I say, it'll go by in a flash, so really relish that. And 10, push yourself out of your comfort zone and go seek out more opportunities. Oh, that is it. I hope that's been of help. If you've really enjoyed this, please do leave me a comment. Please do give it a thumbs up wherever it is that you're watching this. That would be massively helpful. But until next time, thank you so much for giving me your time and watching this video. But for now, I shall see you later.